Hello, I'm Adrian, and on this episode of Fight Scene Breakdown, we're taking a look at the opening fight of Undisputed 2, featuring Scott Adkins as a legendary Yuri Boyka. This opening fight scene sets the bar for the rest of the fights in the film, and gives you an insight into just how great of a combatant Boyka is. We really don't know much about the characters at this point, but the insane choreography and relentless action succeed in establishing the tone of this martial arts film. In film or literary language, this is known as starting in medias res, which basically translates to in the middle of things, and it's a great narrative device for when you want to get straight into the action and fill the audience in on all the details as you progress through the story, rather than try to stuff them in with endless exposition in the beginning. When you've got a talented martial artist like Scott Adkins, there's absolutely no need to use the camera or editing to hide anything. Instead, you can use both to accentuate what is happening on screen. From the opening shot of the fight alone, you can tell that the director trusts his performers. The camera begins low and tracks up, showing the entire stage and its two fighters. It hovers at their level, and as soon as they begin fighting, the shot doesn't cut to a close-up of the attack or maybe get a reaction shot of the audience right away. It just stays on the fight, only moving or cutting to better follow the action. For example, for this final exchange of hits in the fight, we begin with a slow tracking movement to reveal that Boyka's adversary is still not knocked out. We then cut to a close-up of Boyka turning around, utter contempt in his face. What follows is a very wide shot where you get to see each one of Boyka's moves in a crisp, clear sequence, and it only cuts to better accentuate the impact of the kick. The fight also employs a great use of slow motion on Boyka's more spectacular kicks, serving to emphasize just how acrobatic and real they are, as there is no wire work here. At this point, the camera is right inside the ring with the fighters, making you feel as if you're the referee watching the action from the best seat in the house, giving it a realistic and gritty look without sacrificing the choreography on display. In conclusion, both the cinematography and editing complement each other excellently in this opening fight. Scott Adkins is a highly trained martial artist with loads of experience in martial arts like taekwondo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He also has experience in gymnastics. So let's take a look at how this influences a fight choreography. The first kick is a tornado kick with plenty of gymnastic style and torque to it. Note that it isn't a 540 kick, as he doesn't land with the leg he kicked with, a staple part of that technique. He also doesn't take a step into it, something very common before launching the 540. Here is a great counter with a gymnastics flair to it. As soon as his leg is grabbed, he immediately launches a roundhouse with his other leg. The fighter expects it, so he ducks out of the way. But now that his foot is facing the same way as he is, he simply executes a somersault to get out of the hold. He ends the counter with a quick side kick to the head. He then follows that up with a high-flying taekwondo backflip kick. And a neat detail is that he uses his opponent as a vaulting table, just like Spider-Man does. Later on, Boyka executes a classic taekwondo tornado kick, but instead of kicking to the midsection or the head, he opts to kick his opponent's thigh, bringing him down immediately. His opponent doesn't give up, so he shoots him for a double leg takedown, a technique seen in both wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But when his opponent still doesn't give up, he finally defeats him with a stylish variation of the 540 kick. Note here how he first steps into the technique, as per usual with a 540, and then lifts his knee, shooting the kick out with the opposite leg shortly afterwards. In a regular 540, you then land with the leg you just kicked with and spin back into place. But this being a final takedown kick, he adds some style by throwing his whole body into it. As a result, he's unable to land on his feet, so he simply falls to the ground alongside his opponent. In sum, this is one of the many extraordinary fights in this awesome film, as the cinematography and editing perfectly complement the excellent fight choreography. I'd like to thank each one of my Patreon members, as their contribution helped in the making of this video. If you'd like to contribute and appear in the credits in the future, my Patreon page is Godzillarex, and it's in the description below. What did you think of the fight? Which fight would you like me to analyze next? Let me know in the comments below, subscribe for more awesome content, and see you next time.